Maya Cole was, by any reasonable galactic standard, the least threatening person at Varathi Academy. She stood barely 5'4", wore her dark hair in a ponytail that always slipped crooked by second period, and carried a backpack with a faded cartoon fox sticker peeling off one corner. She said sorry when she bumped into doorframes sized for 6-limbed crothy students. She fumbled her words during oral presentations and twisted the hem of her sleeve when she got nervous. The other students in Hall C had taken to calling her the soft one. Not unkindly, the way you might describe something small and harmless. Nobody at the academy had actually read Earth's planetary file. If they had, they might have chosen their nicknames more carefully. Class X, Deathworld, the file said, in the dry clinical language of the Galactic Concord's Habitability Division. Surface gravity, standard. Atmosphere, breathable. Apex predator count, unclassifiable. Exceeds survey parameters. Native sapient species has colonized every biome on the planet, including several rated uninhabitable by Concord environmental standards. Caution advised. Most students who'd heard of Earth at all assumed the rating was some kind of bureaucratic error, or maybe leftover propaganda from the early days of contact, when nobody trusted the new species with too few teeth and too little armor. Maya certainly didn't look like she came from a death world. She looked like she'd lose a fight with a stiff breeze. Hey, Earther. Zeth, a crothy boy with an iridescent carapace, and a talent for finding the exact wrong thing to say, leaned over her desk before xenobiology started. Heard your planet's supposed to be dangerous. That true? You guys got like, big bugs or something? Maya considered the question with the seriousness of someone budgeting lunch money. We've got everything. Bugs, cats that'll mess you up, bears, things in the ocean nobody's properly seen yet. My uncle lost a finger to a goose. Zeth's antennae twitched, the crothy equivalent of a raised eyebrow. A goose. They're worse than they look. He laughed, and the conversation moved on, because nothing about Maya's tone suggested she was joking, or bragging, or performing toughness for an audience. She was simply stating facts, the way someone might mention a bus schedule. That was the thing nobody quite clocked. The trouble started during third-period rounds through the biocontainment wing. Varathi Academy kept a small menagerie of low-threat specimens for the ecology unit, creatures from a dozen worlds, kept behind reinforced glass for students to sketch and observe. Nobody worried about the wing much. The most exciting thing that had ever escaped containment was a cloud of luminescent moths that got into the ventilation system and left Hall D smelling faintly of ozone for a week. Nobody had accounted for the crate that arrived 2 days earlier, mislabeled as Kelvin tree runners, juvenile, non-aggressive. It was not a tree runner, it was a Vrask hound, an apex predator from a world the Concord had quietly blacklisted from tourism, smuggled in by a supplier who hadn't bothered to check his own manifest, and it had spent 2 days in a containment unit, rated for something a third its size and a fraction its temper. It came through the glass during fourth period, while 24 students from Hall C filed past the enclosures toward the herbarium. There was screaming. There was the particular chaos of 24 teenagers from half a dozen species discovering, all at once, that the thing built like a nightmare with too many joints was now loose among them. A Tannic exchange student named Ress, small even for a Tannic, tripped over her own tail and went down hard, directly in the hound's path toward the open corridor and the scent of fresh air. Maya was 12 feet away, mostly preoccupied with whether she'd left her lunch in her locker. What happened in the next 4 seconds didn't look like anything the rest of Hall C had a frame of reference for. The soft one moved. Not the panicked scramble everyone else in that hallway was making, all flailing limbs and wasted motion. Maya moved like something had been coiled inside her the whole time, patient, waiting for exactly this. She didn't run toward Ress in a straight line. She cut an angle that put her between the hound and the fallen girl in 2 strides, low and balanced, weight on the balls of her feet. The fire extinguisher came off its wall bracket before anyone registered she'd grabbed it. She didn't aim the spray at the hound's body. Its hide, plated and dark, was clearly built to shrug off worse. She put it directly into the creature's 4-lensed eyes, point blank, and in the half-second it reared back shrieking and blind. She was already moving again, hauling Ress up by the back of her uniform with one hand like the girl weighed nothing at all. The hound lunged a second time, faster than something that size had any right to move, and Maya didn't dodge so much as redirect. Shoved Ress hard toward a side door, took the creature's shoulder check across her own ribs instead, and rode the impact into a roll that put her back on her feet against the wall instead of pinned beneath 600 pounds of furious predator. Her lips split open. She didn't seem to notice. What the rest of Hall C would describe later, in shaking voices, to very concerned faculty. Wasn't the speed, exactly, or even the fact that a 16-year-old had put herself between a Vrask hound and a classmate without a flicker of hesitation. It was her face. The soft one's face, mid-fight, wasn't afraid. It wasn't even excited. It had gone very still and very focused, eyes tracking the hound's weight shifts the way you'd watch a kettle about to boil. And there was something underneath that stillness that made Zeth, 3 classrooms away and watching through an open door, understand on some bone-deep level exactly why the file said caution advised. The hound went for her throat. Maya caught the strike on her forearm, grunted at the impact, and used the creature's own momentum to drive her knee up into the soft underside of its jaw hard enough that something cracked. It staggered. She didn't let up. 3 more strikes, fast and economical, aimed at the joints the armor didn't cover, until the Vrask hound, an animal bred across generations to fear nothing, broke and fled back into its ruined enclosure. Security arrived 90 seconds later to find the hound cowering in the corner of its broken cage and Maya Cole sitting on the floor against the wall, pressing a torn sleeve to a gash on her arm, checking on Ress with the mildly distracted concern of someone who'd missed a step on the stairs. "You broke its jaw," the Academy's head of security said later, staring at the footage on repeat, then at Maya, then back at the footage, "with your knee." It was going for Ress. Maya shrugged, wincing as the medic finished bandaging her arm. "It's fine. He'll heal, probably. This is a Vrask hound. Adult Vrask hounds have killed armed Concord Rangers." "Yeah, well," Maya considered this. "We've got worse than that at home. My little brother got chased up a tree by a moose last spring. Geese are honestly scarier, if I'm being fair." The security chief looked, very carefully, at the file open on his desk. Class X Deathworld, caution advised. And then, with the particular dread of someone updating a long-held assumption, made a note to flag every human student's file for review. Down the hall, Zeth found Maya at her locker, retrieving the lunch she actually had left behind. "You're not going to tell people about this, are you?" he said. It wasn't really a question. Maya blinked at him, genuinely confused. "Tell them what?" And that, more than the broken jaw or the split lip or the way half of Hall C would flinch for the next 3 months whenever she reached for something quickly, was the detail that stuck with Zeth the longest. That she wasn't being modest, and she wasn't downplaying it for effect. She honestly didn't think it was worth mentioning. By the end of the week, the Academy had quietly reclassified its emergency drills, doubled the containment ratings across the entire bio wing, and added a new line to every human exchange student's file, right beneath Class X Deathworld. Subjects appear unaware of own threat level. Recommend caution when startling, cornering, or threatening their friends. Ress, for her part, brought Maya a small woven charm the following morning. A tannic good luck token, traditionally given only to family. Maya turned it over in her hands, a little embarrassed, and said it really wasn't a big deal. Ress just looked at her, the way you might look at someone who'd genuinely forgotten they'd done something extraordinary, and decided that whatever Earth was, exactly, it had raised exactly the kind of person worth keeping close.